You boys know what's about to happen to you. You leave now.
Some consider these traits to be toxic, such as undesirable in the men of today. We consider these traits such as these not only to be desirable, but to be appreciated and celebrated. Welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show, hosted by and La Reina Creole. Welcome to the safe space for the toxic male.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Toxic Male Appreciation Show. We are your hosts, and Lorena Creole, and we're so glad that you are here with us today. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing very well. So glad to be here to talk about another wonderful male, and just so happy to be here, Lorena. How are you?
I am doing great, and I'm always excited about this show. It seems like every week I'm like, okay, I'm excited to talk about this person, excited to talk about this one. Either way, so much fun doing this show, and I always look forward to discussing the toxic male we're going to appreciate every week with you. So I so do appreciate that. And for folks who are wondering, if you didn't see the title, we are going to be talking Tom Cruise. So yeah, there's people are like, wow, that's a OG actor name for sure. Yeah, it is. And there's a really big reason why he's being talked up so much. And it has to do with a certain 80s movie which changed a lot of lives in a lot of ways. And the fact that there was a sequel even announced for it when it was first announced was just something else. And of course, we're talking about the first OG movie, which is Top Gun, and Top Gun Maverick, which is opening in theaters next week, I believe, on the 27th. But some people are actually getting to see it on the 24th. So I haven't decided if I'm going to get to go or not. Kind of depends on how the day goes, but I'm definitely seeing it that Thursday night before on the 26th. So I can't wait. This it's been rescheduled for release several times, if you remember, right?
It's been rescheduled since day one, Lorena. I mean, we all thought that we were going to get a sequel to Top Gun, which is probably one of the most successful and most recognizable movies of all time, with such incredible stars, incredible soundtrack, an incredible story. Everybody in that film, became very successful.
Very.
And of course, it absolutely displayed everything about Tom Cruise. That makes him this incredible movie star that we know. One of the few movie stars who's still working. Well, it's 30 years, Lorena, almost 30 years or so, a 30-year career of, and continually bringing successful performances. Top Gun was one of those films that started it all for him. And, you cannot deny that he looked fabulous in that film. He is a looker. He looked the part. He looked like a pilot. There were so many elements about him, his arrogance, his strength, all that vigor in him that
Mhm.
really kind of drove a lot of the film. He was like an engine himself in this film, Lorena.
He really was. I mean, he just had like that 80s flyboy swagger that was just so attractive, to so many people. And granted, that was the first movie that put him on my radar because people would say, "Oh, didn't you see him in Risky Business?" I'm like, "What? No, no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. For me, Tom Cruise's career begins with Top Gun, for me. So I'm so excited for me talking about that. But we're going to be talking about more about him actually, because like you were saying, he has an extensive career. I would say he is like literally now your classic movie star. And I cannot believe my camera just glitched out on me. So I'm just going to keep talking. Hello, BK Panther. I see you there. How you doing, my dear? Let's see. Yeah, he had a 30-year career. He's your classic movie star where he's not only been acting for so long, but consistently acting for so long. Whether he's in a lead role or whether he's got like a character bit part put in prosthetics so you can't really recognize who he is, like the character of Les Grossman in in Tropic Thunder.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Lorena. Something that Tom Cruise, he's actually done two things that have made him very successful. Perhaps three things that I think are the keys to his success. The first thing is that he's been able to maintain his looks through a 30-year career. And there aren't a lot of Hollywood stars that have kept their physique and their looks so that when you see a film that they're in, you immediately know who this person is. So Tom Cruise has kept himself physically fit. He does these incredible stunts that we're familiar with. No, he's known for doing these incredible feats, and that's something that he's pretty much put on his resume. So not only actor but also stunt coordinator and a stunt man, Tom Cruise. The second thing that he's done is that he travels the world and promotes his movies. And when he first started out in the 80s, that wasn't something that was commonly done for Hollywood actors, American Hollywood actors. And so Tom Cruise was one of the first American Hollywood actors from the 80s, to go to Cannes, to go to all these international festivals and really promote his work so that people knew what was going on. And he would look at the dates when the film would be released. And when it would be released, he'd be in town. And, it would create a lot of excitement. And, they'd have headshots and pictures of him in town there as his film is being released. That's a big deal, and especially good for the marketing groups that are doing that. You have a new film, and they do a press junket initially, but that actor may not be in Prague, or may not be in London, or may not be whatever country it is. He would show up to these different places and make sure that everyone knew that his new film would be coming out and that he would be there for those premieres. And that also created a lot of excitement. But the third thing, and maybe Lorraine, you could help me out with this, is that he started his own business in Hollywood, where he decided to start to work on films himself. And, I kind of think that he saw the potential for this for many reasons. I think that he wanted to do specific types of films. And sometimes as an actor, you don't always get cast in those roles that you want. He has an affinity to do sort of action style films, and he wanted to get those. And no matter what you do, as an actor, it's not always a guarantee you're going to get that. So what does he do? He creates a business where it allows him to actually go ahead and get more of those roles. And, I think he's been very, very successful in doing that, Lorena. I can't hear. Are you muted?
Yeah, I think I did. I pulled the
Okay.
boomer move. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
I want to say he's one of those people who made it cool to have your own, production company to kind of get those roles that you want. Before it was like cool. Now it's cool to do that. But at that time, it was kind of like unheard of, not something that you really wanted to actually step out and do. And he's done a lot of things. I want to say, well, yeah, like on his own, like for example, doing stunts. He is now known for doing his own stunts. For him, it's not enough to just, well, I guess, when he was younger, it's like, okay, we can't afford to have you hurt, so we need to have a professional guy do your stunts. But I think what he started to do was pay attention and learn the craft of what's going on, to the point where he can do where he does those stunts, on his own. And the stunt guy is probably like, well, yeah, he paid attention and we trained with him. And he really throws himself into the role like that, which is one of the reasons why I think he's so respected. Because like, if you see him on, in action scenes, you're just like, yeah, he probably did that, himself, as much as before the insurance people are like, okay, no, we can't have you do that. But before we get even further into talking about Tom Cruise, first of all, thanks to you guys who are watching us here on Twitch. I see BK Panther there, who says hello, ladies. Well, hello to you, BK Panther, and glad you are here. Folks, please do let people know that her and I are live here on Twitch talking Tom Cruise. BK Panther also says Days of Thunder is another favorite. I'm going to talk a little bit about why Days of Thunder is a little special to me. The Edge of Tomorrow, I didn't see that. The Last Samurai, I did see. I like that. Collateral, didn't see. Jack Reacher, didn't see. Mission Impossible series, I think I saw 2 of those movies. I saw the first one, and I wasn't too happy with what they did to the original character, so I kind of, because I used to watch the Mission Impossible series on in syndication. So then I came back to, I think, the one that Ving Rhames was in. I think that's what pulled me back into watching the franchise. And Days of Thunder, some of that was actually filmed in Daytona Beach, I believe, in Daytona Beach, Florida. So the hospital that you see when they have the crash, the outside of that is Halifax Hospital, which is right near where the Daytona Speedway is. So, and I think that's where he met his first wife, right? Nicole Kidman. I think in Days of Thunder is
Right.
where they met.
Right.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I thought that was cool.
I remember them being in another movie called Far and Away. Did you see that one, Lorena?
I did see that one. I think I saw that one after they divorced. I don't know why, but I said, okay, I'm gonna finally sit down and watch this movie, because I was like, this isn't really my type of movie. But I sat down and watched it, and it was really good. It was really good. I was glad I checked that out. Hey, Happy Dinosaurus. It's happy day to you, Reina Creole. Well, good to see you. Good to see you. I see you doing those tasty chomps there. And let's see. And happy day to our guest. Yes, that would be her. Right below me, doing great.
It was.
Says, oh, whoops, I'm sorry. She froze a little bit. She'll be back. She'll be back. We're just having all kinds of little technical gremlin issues here today. We're doing all right. Let's see. Happy Dinosaur 8000 says, I love him in Mission Impossible 2, and I think he's great in Live, Die, Repeat. That last one, I haven't seen. So I may have to put that one on the list. Live, Die, Repeat. That is too cool. No, I'll have to check that one out. And ooh, yeah, Far and Away is a good one too. Have you heard
Far and Away is a good one too. It is.
Have you heard of Live, Die, Repeat?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a film that he did with is it Emily, this actress who was in is it Quiet? Something Quiet.
Emily Blunt, Quiet Place?
Yes.
Okay.
They did and in that film, it was also an action film. It was very, very popular. I thought it might have been based on an anime, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Live, Die, Repeat, I believe, is Edge of Tomorrow.
It's a statement, I guess, in the movie Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Something that they do repeatedly in the movie. So that's why Live, Die, Repeat. And then it actually, I don't want to spoil it for you, but
oh, okay.
Yeah, it's there's something that happens where they end up having a specific sequence over and
Mhm.
over again. So,
Oh, like
um,
Groundhog Day.
yes, 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 that's a perfect example
Okay.
of what happens in that film, in a sense. Yes.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. Well, that'll another movie. Yet I have so many movies on my list, but I almost want to say there's nothing like there's no such thing as a bad Tom Cruise movie,
I agree.
honestly.
I think that he not only performs at an in an excellent level where he doesn't ever give a bad performance, but he's very specific about what he wants to star in, and even if it's a small role, he is very specific. He gives a top drawer performance no matter what.
Absolutely. He sure does. So I always find it funny that his stage name is Tom Cruise, but his full name is Thomas Cruise Mapother the Fourth. And I think the first time I heard that was as a Jeopardy question. I'm like, what?
It sounds somewhat nerdy, but he's sure a very attractive, cool-looking nerd, if you ask me.
Yeah. And at 5'7", I'm just like, oh God, I I admit I am quite a heightist. So, but he's so full of charisma that I could overlook that.
Yeah,
You
he's
know.
spectacular. I think that, honestly, I remember, when he first after he was with Nicole Kim and then he was with Katie Holmes, and,
Hmm.
they had their kid, and I was like, "Lucky girl." This guy is absolutely like how, Charlie Sheen would say, "I've got tiger blood and Adonis DNA." Well,
Hmm.
Tom Cruise is also that way to me.
Yeah, he's like just his attitude. Even when I finally went back and watched Risky Business, I said, okay, he was made perfect,
Yes.
for that role. It's like he's just so, so likable. It's hard to like not like him in certain
Yeah.
roles. At least that's how at least that's how I feel. I mean, I tried to not like him because how dare he take over the role Ethan Hunt? Really? Really? I'm like, really? I just, then it was like, okay, all right. All right, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Jerry Maguire, I think I'm probably the only person in the world who has not seen that movie all the way through. I've only I've only seen bits and just like pieces of it. I don't know. It's just one of those where I've never like sat down and watched it with undivided attention. I've seemed to come in, breeze in and out on certain parts. So I know how the movie starts. I know how the movie ends. I
Almost
know all the other parts and everything, but just not
almost
a solid
everybody
sit down.
almost everybody who starred in that has won Academy Awards, because I think Regina Bell is in it, right?
Regina King is in it. I
Regina
don't think
King.
she won one, but Cuba Gooding Jr. did.
Yes,
He
yes,
won an Academy Award for
yes, and
that.
so did Renee Zellweger win an Academy Award?
That is a good question.
Uh,
I don't know if she did, but she
yeah,
should have
yes.
because it was really good because there's a
Uh,
line in there that I love that she said to Tom Cruise's character where she's like, "I am trying to raise a man."
yes,
That
yes,
whole speech that she did, I was like, "Dang, that was
yeah.
so just profound." So I remember that line. That was really cool.
Regina King won her Academy Award, I don't remember the year, but she did win one. Um, and I think she won it for, what did she win it for? For her performance, yes, in it's in a novel of If Beale Street Could Talk. She won the Academy Award and Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress. So she won, an Academy Award there, and I think that Renee won it for Judy. She played,
Mhm.
Judy Garland,
Oh, wow.
a few years back, maybe 1 or 2. years back, and
Mhm.
she won the Academy Award for that role. And so,
Oh.
like, it's an incredible amount of people in that film who have won Academy Awards. Like, it's really amazing when you think about it. But yeah, she won an Academy Award for that role as Judy Garland. So she went on to win. Cuba Gooding Jr. won for was it that singer that piano player? I can't remember his name, but he's so famous, and we listen
Mhm.
to he sings that song Georgia. So Cuba Gooding Jr. Am I saying the wrong person? I'm saying the wrong person.
Uh, yeah, that's wrong. For Jamie Foxx was Ray, did the Ray Charles
Yes,
biopic.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
so I
did the
have
Ray
it
he did
written
the
down.
Ray Charles biopic. Cuba Gooding Jr.
He won
There was
his
another
Academy.
one. He won for Jerry Maguire.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
But
That's the one he won. I'm
after,
sorry.
yeah. Oh no, it's okay. They kind of like all start kind of like all start to build together
But
after a
it is kind of
while.
interesting when you think about that film, Lorena, that the top actors in it are all Academy Award recipients. It truly was a very special film, and everybody just, kept going for a long time saying, "Show me the money." That was the one
Yep.
of the catchphrases in the film, as you mentioned, a lot of them. But it's very interesting because the poster for Jerry Maguire, where he's kind of there, it almost looks like a uniform that he's wearing. It's not, but he's wearing a suit. But it almost that poster makes me feel like he was in Top Gun again because of the white collar and the white on him.
Like the navy dress whites. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that was kind of interesting in that regard. And he does look good in a uniform too. But that film, I mean, it really, I think, in addition to Tom Cruise, it really was a fantastic ensemble of actors that made that film spectacular. You got to see it. You got to do a watch party. Of
I would absolutely agree. Jerry Maguire just it, it's the ensemble cast actually is what makes that movie, so good. And I think a good testament to that with Tom Cruise is how easily it seems like he can just go into the mix with several actors and he's not overshadowing anyone. It just all, it just all works. So that's I like those types of actors where you know who they are, but they just work so well with everyone else. They allow others, to shine in the first place.
Absolutely, Lorena.
That's
You make such a
awesome.
good point with that.
Let's see which goodness. It's just like you can't it's like where to flip it. Yeah, we're gonna go down here a little bit. Let's see. I don't
I
remember
didn't know
him
he
in
was in it.
Endless Love. I do not.
What?
I don't remember that one. I don't remember that
Oh
one.
my God. That was
Wow.
such a romantic film. I know it had, Brooke Shields and another actor in it, and it was kinda sad, in the film. They were too young to have a relationship, but something happened. This is the 1980s, like the 70s, 80s. There was a lot of that, inappropriate taboo kind of things going on, and,
Mhm.
um, the character, fell in love with someone, but he ended up doing something terrible to somebody in her family, and they couldn't be together. Like, it was really sad, but everybody watched this film. You remember Diana Ross had that hit song, was it with, Lionel Richie?
Yes. Yes, it was. And that's one of those, R&B classics now. It's just
Yes.
ah, it's so sad. Taps I did see eventually,
Yes,
which I thought was very good.
and Giancarlo Esposito, I believe that was his first, movie as well,
Mhm.
with the young cadet in that film. Tom Cruise is, of course, in it and is one of the young cadets who's, um I think C. Thomas Howell might be in it, but, Tom Cruise plays a young cadet who's, kind of defending the military academy, and it is also very sad,
Mhm.
film, film, but very interesting twist on these military academies, for sure. Once again, in uniform, Tom Cruise in uniform, really looking great in uniform.
Exactly. I didn't see Losing It, so I have no idea what that one is
I've
about.
never seen it, no, but I've seen The Outsiders.
I've heard of The Outsiders, but I have not seen it.
It's a fantastic film, and it's a tearjerker. So, get ready to cry. Have your box of Kleenex
Ugh.
when you watch this. It's got all the guys in it: Ralph Macchio, Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell, of course.
Ah,
It's like
okay.
a whole crew of guys when they were young, and they're fighting against. I don't even know what they're fighting against, but it just
Mhm.
kind of just a coming of age story that was just unbelievable.
Hey, Kaylee, good seeing you, my dear.
So I
And
think you would like it, but get the box of Kleenex ready for The Outsiders.
oh, another one that's gonna make me cry after I finally watch Logan. Oh Lord, it's gonna be something else. Risky Business. I'd gone back and watched, and I had a good laugh watching Risky Business. That was pretty funny. That was like a fun. I think in a lot of ways he was playing himself because he seemed to be having just way too much fun in this movie. And I just remembered like the movie poster from this back when they were doing really cool movie posters.
So cool. He's got his
Look at
Ray-Bans
how young
on.
he is. Oh my
Oh, it's
gosh.
so cool.
He's so young. That's like one of those classic. He's been on so many classic posters.
Yes.
This is one of them. I love it. Love it. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
This is like I looking at his movie posters alone. It's just too much fun. Let's see. Let's see. All the Right Moves I heard about, but I didn't see.
Mhm.
It just wasn't, yeah, it just wasn't my type of movie. So I didn't really see that.
I'm
Did
trying to
you see it?
remember what happened in that. I don't remember what happened in All the Right Moves. Is
I
it about
love
pool?
I
Is it
love
about pool with,
IMDb. Oh,
oh,
Wyvern, I
oh,
have seen this
oh,
movie.
you've seen this, yes! This
I
is so
have seen this movie. He was like this football player in
Yes.
like this steel town where nothing happens and
Right, and the
all the
game is
kids
everything on Friday and Saturday night, that the whole
uh-huh.
town shows up to this game.
Football. It was just all about football. Football's gonna get me out.
Look at him
And
in that, what jacket, letter jacket? Look at him in the letter jacket.
yes, look at this.
Mhm.
Letterman jacket.
Oh, hello, Jock.
Mr. All
Oh,
American.
that's right.
That's exactly what that was. Yeah,
Mhm. Oh, that
this was a fun kind of like coming of age movie, you know.
oh, man, so good. Lorraine, I miss these movies so much.
I do too. I do too. They were just fun to just like sit down and watch, and you get sucked into the story and all, you know, and all of that. So that was I'm embarrassed of I was like, I don't think I've seen that. And then I look at the movie poster. Oh yeah, I have
Right
seen
away,
that.
yeah. Oh, man. Oh, man.
Funny how, you know, these movie posters are
Thank you, Tom Cruise.
what gets you in. Let's see, Legend. What
Oh,
was Legend about?
you remember?
Did I see
David
this?
Bowie was in it,
Who was
and,
in it? I
David
did
Bowie.
see it.
Yes,
Yes, I
he
did
did.
see this.
Mhm.
I
Yep.
did see this. Wow.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
was a long time ago.
he almost looks like Interview with a Vampire from that shot, there.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He does
Oh
that
my
way.
god,
That was like a cool this was like a cool sci-fi ish fantasy
Yeah.
fantasy movie. That was it was a fun, cheap watch, back when I was in college and didn't have a whole lot of money and you scrape up some money to to like rent a movie. This was one of
Yeah.
those.
And this is Happy Dinosaur 8000 talks about Tim Curry being the devil. And there's a scene where the lead actress says something to Tim Curry like, I hope you let me kill the unicorn or something like that. And Tim Curry's like, oh, like that's kind of, just a lot of fun they had with these characters and this very, unusual fantasy world that they created that was done, Lorena. It looked like, honestly, they created a fantasy world that didn't have any special effects. It was all practical. So, they had, trees with all sorts of different things floating around and there were,
Mhm.
humming like all sorts of creatures and it's almost like the Dark Crystal, but in a fairy tale term way of doing it. So there wasn't a lot of special effects from what I could tell. It
Mhm.
was all done, everything was created by hand, and you can tell it is. It really, was a very special
Oh,
film.
wow. That may have to go on the movie watch list.
Yes.
Yeah, because I haven't seen this one in a long time, but you're bringing it back to me talking about the practical effects because at this point in time, special effects were extremely expensive. Like you needed to have a reason to do it, and you did it with like the biggest impact. So wow, legend.
Yeah, and
Okay,
I don't know
yeah.
why I was thinking of David Bowie, that's another, film, but, that you will like Legend. You will like Legend if you,
Okay.
honestly.
I think I've seen that one. And of course, we got Top Gun with
Yeah,
Tom Cruise and
yeah.
Kelly McGillis. Oh my God. This movie, I will watch it again and again and again and again. There were lines from this movie that people would just quote, like "Talk to me, Goose." I mean, I've actually said that.
Mhm. I
I
feel
have
the need,
that
the
need
need
for speed.
speed.
And that song from the Righteous Brothers,
Oh,
"Lost
yes.
That Loving Feeling."
And that was a beautiful, part where they played and sang it. There's one part where Kelly McGinnis is with them. Hello, Super
Hey,
Thunder
Thunder
Pickle.
Pickle, hello. I love that ABI. I love it. Negative Ghost Rider, the pattern is full.
Exactly, exactly. No flybys, no
No
flybys.
flybys.
There's one scene where, he, of course, he's this fighter pilot. There's rare to become this fighter pilot, and he sees Kelly McGillis, and he is looking so beautiful. Like he's absolutely drop dead gorgeous, and he wants to pick her up, but she's there with somebody else. I think she's at the bar with another guy,
Mhm.
and so he follows her into the ladies' room, and she's like, "What's going on with you?" And he's like, "Well, I bet my friends, something or another that, I would be with you, and I never disappoint them or whatever." So when she leaves the ladies' room, she sees his friends there, and she
Mhm.
turns to him and she goes, "He was fantastic," or whatever. And I always thought that was so adorable, like, how much fun is this? They're probably like, "Oh man, he got," like, "Wow," we can't believe it. But, it's just a lot of fun enjoyable things that happen at when you're out with your friends and
Mhm.
you didn't have to worry about any issues or anything like that. This was just pure fun, pure excitement. There was a lot of sexual adrenaline running through Maverick as well, and very romantic scenes with Kelly McGillis. Very,
Mhm.
very romantic.
Very. Absolutely. I mean, if you wanna talk about films that epitomize quote unquote toxic masculinity, this is definitely tops up there in the list. Unapologetically masculine, women were unapologetically feminine, both played off of their strengths, which is why you couldn't help but like the love story that was wrapped up within all of this action and stuff, that was going on. It was, man, it really was, it was a joy to watch. Tom Cruise was that guy that men wanted to be and women wanted to be with. It's one of those examples, and I loved it.
Yeah, and they didn't let us down. She got to sleep with him, which was great, like from a woman's perspective. I think in the 80s that might have been considered, somewhat more inappropriate, to do that, especially with a student and somebody she's working with. But they had to think for one another. And, there was nothing that was going to stop him from wanting to be with her. I mean, he
Mhm.
seemed very, committed to her or his flying. And it was interesting him trying to find that balance of the two, and also making a point of showing that what he was doing for a job is dangerous.
Very, very, very dangerous. Yeah. And just the maturity that he winds up eventually getting in the film, seeing that journey, you know, as well. When you go from, like, I want to say, well, yeah, we'll say it's true, like your irresponsible fly boy, so to speak, to your wingman that you can depend on, because that's some serious growth that that goes in there. So that's actually I love that. That seeing your characters grow, and I think a lot of films and TV today miss that. We like to see, not only do we like to see a character with flaws, but we like to see them grow in the movie when they emerge to something, better than than they were. So I love there's so
And
much
that's
I could
fun
say
stuff.
about this movie. I really am. I'm supposed to actually watch this over the weekend again before I go see Maverick, because I so need a refresher.
Me too. Me too.
So need a refresher on this. Oh man, I saw the trailer for Maverick in the movie theater. People were losing their freaking minds. I'm like, I cannot wait to see this. Let's see, The Color of Money. I didn't see this one.
Yeah, I think I can't remember this actor's name, but it was also a very popular film, and it was about hustling. And,
Hmm.
he has to learn the ropes of how to make money doing that. And I think that at that time, seemed like a very, I think perhaps a possible way of earning a living in the 80s is kind of hustling and playing pool and all that sort of.
Hmm.
I don't know whether people do it now anymore, but it would be televised or, some kind of reality show. But back then, he learned everything he could from Paul Newman, who was
Hmm.
the master of it, and that had to do with it. But I could see Tom Cruise doing this like in real life. I could see him, being a very smart guy, and he's so good looking, they probably don't think he can play. And then he hustles, you for everything you've got.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
That's another classic one. I've heard of it. I just hadn't gotten into watching it, but it's one of those that comes up
Mhm.
when people talk about it. Now, this one I did see.
Yes.
I can't even tell you why I went to see it. Um,
It was the 80s.
I think so. Again, it was one of those where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go rent it. It's neon pink. I'll rent it and kind of see what the movie's about. But yeah, he was just basically this bartender with this hustle.
Yeah, the
And
really hot bartender.
yes, yes, yes,
The
a
kind you
very
wanna you slip your phone number into his pocket as you take your drink away.
yes, yes, because he puts on a show for
Mhm.
you.
Oh,
Oh, but it
yeah.
was a really great, a really fun movie. It had serious parts, but it didn't take itself, super, super seriously. So again, another fun watch, a good cheap date movie. I will
Well,
say that.
And he wanted to be a Wall Street guy, and so he's taking night courses in bartending, and there was a lot of money to be made especially in Manhattan at that time period with all the Wall Street executives. They would just come out and they'd be oozing cash,
Mhm.
wherever they could get it. I'm not going to say everybody was a crook, but let's just say a lot of people were breaking rules financially and kind of
Mhm.
manipulating the system
Right.
to get that cash. And a lot of fortunes were made and a lot of fortunes were lost.
Yes. Oh, man, I'm just having flashbacks remembering that.
Yes.
There's a oh my gosh, there's a I think I got the soundtrack. I cannot recall the song right now, but wait. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this movie is responsible for one of the most heinous earworm songs you've ever heard, and that would be Bobby McFerrin's "Don't Worry, Be Happy."
I believe it was in that, yes. Yeah.
That's the only drawback because that song, oh my god.
The Kokomo is also in this one.
Oh my god,
Great.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, the music video for Kokomo is freaking amazing.
Mhm, mhm.
Absolutely amazing. That's the other song too. I love that. Great sound. Yeah, great soundtrack. I like the
Oh, yeah.
soundtrack in that. Let's see. The next one. I know there's so many. We're basically spending this stream going through his catalog. Let's see. Rain Man.
Oh my goodness, Lorena, do you remember this film when it came out?
This was so good.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, Dustin Hoffman in a role that I did not expect him to be in, and Tom Cruise in a role I didn't quite expect him to be in. This was just this film surprised me. It
Well,
really did surprise me.
I think it showed the range that Tom Cruise actually has, and of course, being such a good-looking man, he's gonna be typecast in a lot of films and,
Mhm,
perhaps turned down for specific roles, and I think this was a huge win for him early on in his career because it showed that he really could act and that he kind of had a little bit of integrity. He didn't have to play this role. This probably wasn't, something that a lot of people were fighting over to get, but Tom Cruise felt it was important to do this at this point in his career, and I think it really helped him out.
I think it did because if I remember correctly, there was, like, Cocktail, it did okay, but it didn't really do that great. Um, so I think for, like, his next role, he's like, "Let me see if I can do something or a role that would really shake things up." A film that's different, and Rain Man definitely was. So this was, this was so cool, especially when he finds out where the term Rain Man came from. I literally almost started crying in the theater. I
It
really
was
did.
It's really a significant film of that time period and, the chemistry that he has with Dustin Hoffman, it does feel like they are real brothers. So, that's something that I think 2 actors when they can build upon that, and I think, that they kind of brought out the best in each other in this film. So, I thought that that was very important, and I almost wonder whether this was at a time when people were kind of like not wanting to be bothered with people who have, let's say at the time, there was no such thing as special needs. You were special ed or whatever the terms were.
Mhm,
And, I think that at this time, a lot of people didn't necessarily want to be bothered with those groups. They weren't
mhm.
concerned. So to make a film that kind of focuses on it, really was groundbreaking at the time.
Very, very much so, to the point where the term Rain Man was, like, codified in the language, someone who it's like they had challenges and special needs, but they also had a seriously special, like, talent that just so good that they're just so good at it that it's almost like a superpower, I would say, which is what just
Absolutely.
like what they have. Hey, Shield Wall of Dragons says, "What's up, everyone?" Well, hello. Glad you could join us here. Glad you can join us here. We are having a great time going through
Mm.
all of this stuff from Tom Cruise before we get to some amazing articles about Maverick, born on the 4th of July.
Oh my goodness.
This was a movie that I didn't see in the theater. This was another. I rented a lot of Tom Cruise movies when I was broke in college. I really did. This one, wow.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that stands out is that this is an era where, for many people who may be watching this, are aware, but if you're not aware, in the 80s, Vietnam veterans or veterans in general almost were kind of vilified still. And,
Mhm.
no one necessarily wanted to talk about the different things that they were going through and the struggles that they were going through. And I thought it was very important. He is in Vietnam, right, Lorena? This is a Vietnam veteran, right?
Yeah, he is a Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
And you see kind of like the progress of what happens to him. I don't want to say typical, but it kind of is. Like he gets drafted, he goes to Vietnam. He's very, very young. And then everything that he sees there with what happens, and I'm trying not to granted it's been out forever, but honestly I really don't want to spoil it because it takes away from a lot of the emphasis of what happens. He gets injured in war, then his recovery, and you see what happens with him with the VA, him when he comes home to America. And like was saying, at this point in time, Vietnam veterans they were being called baby killers when they came back,
Right.
to the States. So you've gone from, like, say, World War II, where those vets were like, people couldn't do enough for them, to the Vietnam vets come, and it's like they're basically vilified in their own country. It's a point in America's history where, I mean, it's not as prevalent now because of course we've had like Desert Storm and a couple other things, which for a lot of people who've told me when they came back, they said, we're glad that you appreciate our service. What we would really like you to do is acknowledge what the Vietnam veterans, did. That's how a lot of them felt. They're like, this is the homecoming that you should have given them. So let's pay attention to that. But this is a very extremely powerful movie. Again, keeps extending his range. He went from like Rain Man to Born on the 4th of July, and then of course we get to going around here because I'm going to take these off. Let's see. So it's like Days of Thunder, and then you get to Far and Away, and then A Few Good Men.
Yeah. I honestly have to say, I think that Days of Thunder was a classic racing film, and it has a lot to offer. And Far and Away was the film that he did with Nicole Kidman that I remember because he played an Irish immigrant.
Yes.
And eventually Nicole Kidman's character has to choose between him and like an upper class aristocrat. And it really was a very passionate film. I thought that it was a lot of fun to watch. But a Few Good Men, once again, he's back in uniform.
This was so good. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Look at him walking down that hall.
This movie.
And Demi Moore was good in it too. I mean, I think I would have liked to have seen her in maybe even more procedurals or even JAG or something, which I'm not quite sure that's how she wanted her career to go. But she shined in this. This was
like a breakout role for her.
Yes.
And I remember her being in that courtroom, because at that point in time in movies, you didn't really see a lot of women in uniform. And not only was she in uniform, but she was like a JAG officer. So that was like a position of authority that a lot of people had not seen.
No, exactly. I mean, even the idea of female lawyers was not something, unless you were watching LA Law and
Right.
they kind of, it was almost a novelty, the idea of a female lawyer. I mean, that was something that they didn't necessarily want to focus on in feature films or in television. So this was a very unusual decade. And, she did the role amazingly, no doubt. I don't know whether it was before she did G.I. Jane or after, but no doubt a role like that, she was prepared for that, because if she could do A Few Good Men, she certainly could do G.I. Jane.
Yeah, Jane. Yeah, I think she did this one before
Mhm.
before G.I. Jane. Let's see, The Firm. That was, I think I did see that one.
Right.
The Firm. Let's remind me. I think it was like this really crazy law office. It was like nuts.
Yeah.
I think you needed like blood or something like that.
Love that poster,
The
Lorraine. Yeah,
first
there's another
one.
one, where he, his face is that way, and then you see him kind of running, this is part of his signature now, and realizing that the firm is more than what it cracks up to be, a sinister, dark side. This is the type of stuff that's fun to watch, and you really could enjoy films that Tom was making like this, because he was so perfect in these roles. And I can't remember all the details of this film, but it's just another great role that he got, and he fits so perfectly into this character.
Yeah, he was like, the ingenue. Hey, I have this hot shot, job at this prestigious law firm, and it's great, until he starts seeing a lot of the shenanigans going on, and it's pretty much like the mob, no, in a way that no one expected. I mean, it's oof.
I think that, like as we're both working professionals, and you would say, I didn't sign up for this,
Yes, totally. It's like look, I'm just trying to pay my student loans off. I did not have to expect to go through all of this crap. And I think that was his background. I think he grew up working class, I think.
Mhm.
If I remember correctly. So that's why it was such a huge deal that he got this job with
Right.
the firm, until he saw like all this crazy stuff going on. So if you like mystery thrillers, this is a textbook one to watch,
Absolutely.
which would be The Firm. And this
Oh my God.
one, like
Oh,
I tell people, some people are like, what's the difference between Creole and Cajun? I said, okay, Cajun is like the Water Boy with Bobby Boucher. That's what Cajun is like. This is what, basically, if you want to know what Creole life was like in New Orleans in, the early 1800s, watch Interview with a Vampire. I mean, I just remember Anne Rice basically saying that she didn't think that Tom Cruise fit, Vampire Lestat. I'm like, lady,
God.
I hadn't read it. I was just like a Tom Cruise. I'm like, what do you mean he can't do it? Of course he can possibly do it. What the heck is wrong? What the heck is wrong with her? But his performance in this, oh my God.
Yeah. You needed somebody with a certain level of intensity. Not that Brad Pitt doesn't have that. It's just that Tom Cruise is very determined. Nothing's going to stand in his way, and he's going to get what he wants. And you needed to have a vampire who was like that. And of course, there was this, and I'm not saying that this was the intention. I have no idea if this was the intention, but there was like this kind of homoerotic relationship between him and Brad Pitt.
Yes, there was.
And it was very appealing to watch. Like, this is
it was unmistakable, by the way that he was, that he was attached to him, and just, in a way, kind of, he was very possessive.
Yes, he was.
Of him, in a way. And I love the fact that he told me, he's like, I'm going to give you the choice that I was never given. And Tom Cruise, he was very seductive as Lestat, in the way that he spoke to him. It was just something else, because you see, not only is Brad Pitt in the movie, but also, and why am I drawing a blank? Oh my gosh, what was that chick's name? Because she was in Spider-Man. with
Kirsten
Toby.
Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst. Yes, she was extremely young.
She was, but she was such a great actress. She should have
She
gotten a role for this role.
she sure should have, because she could go toe to toe with Tom Cruise, because I remember the scene, because Tom Cruise had actually made her into a vampire. It was like an abomination for him to do that because she was so young. It's like, well, and you know, Brad Pitt's character, can't believe I'm drawing a blank, was just like, she's gonna die, because they were so, like, the mother was dead, and she was gonna be, she was an orphan, she's gonna be destitute. So Lestat basically makes into her a vampire, and she, like, lives for all these years, but she's as, like, a little girl. And I think she tried to basically throw shade at Lestat for what he was doing. And, he was, to the type of women that he wanted to, seduce and suck blood from. And he basically told her, yes, a women with delicious curves that you will never have. And he said it, not even looking at her, just while he's playing piano. I'm like, oh,
So
that's
cruel.
cold. But it fit. It's just like the way that he would talk to her, and in a loving manner that he would talk to, Brad Pitt's character. So yeah, that was very blatant, that he was pretty much, in love with him. I forget the name of his character. Oh, Louis. Oh God, I can't believe I forgot that.
Oh, yes, Louis, that's right. And something
Mhm.
else, you're right about Tom Cruise being seductive. I mean, he was seducing us all. I mean, it was, a performance that was very, provocative, and it made everyone wonder, gee, if Tom Cruise came to me tomorrow and said he was a vampire and gave us a choice, what would your choice be? What would your choice be, Lorraine?
Mhm.
Do you I mean, for me, my choice
God.
would be, I think now I would probably take him up on the offer. What would you do?
Oh, that is a tough question. That's a tough question. You gotta think about it, because it's like, I don't know, because those kind of, not being able to really go out in the daylight, you know, a diet of nothing but blood.
Yeah, it does seem
I don't know. I can't, you can't at least, throw me a hamburger every now and then, or something like that. But the way that he posed it, and the way that he asked that question, it does make you think. It's like,
and
do I
something
really
that
want to do that?
many of us, all thought was gonna happen at the end with Christian Slater, was like, "Where's part 2?" Because it seemed like it was going in that direction,
Mhm.
and of course, as I mentioned, Antonio Banderas, plays,
Oh, the old world, vampire, yeah.
and he is also very seductive and sensual, and he almost,
Mhm.
like, even the way he speaks in this film, Lorena, it's like, wow, how is he doing this? And then there are even parts where they're kind of talking to one another, and Antonio has his, oh my goodness, has his hand on Brad Pitt,
Mhm.
and I'm like, look at how he's kind of like, has, he's handling him. He's sort of like holding him in a certain way, and I'm like, this is more than just, companionship. It's essentially, perhaps something that's binding more than what we can understand. At least it felt that way.
Mhm. Yeah, it really did. It really did. That is, I tell people, that is such a good, such a good movie.
Definitely.
Such a good film. But there are so many, oh my gosh, Mission Impossible, Jerry Maguire, Eyes Wide Shut. I really wish that I had not seen this movie. I like Stanley Kubrick, but this one kind of fell a little flat,
Well,
for
I like
me. I'll
the
pop it up.
routines because I
So,
kind of like that stuff. And of course, the film for me, although he was one of the stars in the film, for me, the film was actually about, Nicole Kidman, and the fact that she, wants to have sexual relationships with other men. So, it's like how does this character deal with it? And she's very sexual in this, like she's nude in the film, and
Mhm.
it's incredible in the film. And of course, the other interesting part about this, Lorraine, as you know, it's Kubrick's last film, but it's also
Right.
a film that he's making with his wife at the time they were married. So, you know,
Interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah, I believe they were married when this film was made. It might be right before they got divorced, maybe. And it's kind of tough to make a film and be nude with your spouse, in a film that is kind of wrapped around a sexual um conquest, so to speak. And
Mhm.
she wants to kind of like, just enjoy herself sexually. I think he wants to too, but he just doesn't know how. And there's like this confusion associated with him. This is how I interpret the film, as an observer, but he doesn't quite know where he fits in all this. And so I think that a lot of men may find themselves in this situation, or even spouses, whether it's a man or a woman, find themselves in the situation when your partner has the desire to branch out, so to speak. But
Mhm.
at least that's how I looked at it. In fact, the shot that they chose for the poster, he's looking at her and he's kissing her, but she's looking somewhere else. So I always thought that that was very clever. When you think about it, he wants to close his
Mhm.
eyes, but he can't because he has to see who she's looking at because she wants to be with other people. So that's,
Mhm.
but
And
I
then
know what you mean about it falling flat in certain parts.
yeah, it was it it's been a long time since I watched the film, but I was kind of watching it just like, um, what's the point? It was just for some reason I just could not really, um, just not really get into it for some particular reason. And a lot of people that I know had the same thing. They were kinda like, "We're watching it, and we're kind of just." It's like we knew Kubrick directed it, but it's didn't really quite feel like a Kubrick film. It was just very, very, very strange, and I heard there was a lot of challenges with shooting that film. I know I mainly went to go see it because Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman were in it, but it was kind of those where it's just like, I wish it could have been some I wish the material and the script could have been better than, than it was.
And
Uh oh, go
you
ahead.
make a good point because it might have been something that Kubrick was thinking of doing for a long time, but then by the time it was made, it may have not been appropriate for the time period. So
Mhm.
so that's something else to think about too. But it is very interesting. Um, I'm trying to think of the next film. Oh yeah, you felt that way about Eyes Wide Shut, and I felt that way about Vanilla Sky.
This
Have you
one,
seen that
I did
film?
not know. This one I didn't see. I didn't see this one.
Well, I kind of he looks incredible, doesn't he, on that poster?
Oh, yeah. That's
But
great.
for me, the film kind of like takes a twist because something happens to him uh in the film, and I said that they committed like one of the worst acts in theater history of what they did to Tom Cruise. But when you see it, you'll know what I mean. I was like,
Okay.
they do that to him. So, I was upset about it, and I remember I was in the theater and I left the film as soon as I saw that happen. I was like, "I'm not watching."
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, "I refuse to watch this." But it was a very, very daring thing for Tom Cruise to do.
Mhm.
Um, and I think that, it deals a lot with vanity, and but I'm like, "No, don't do that to me with Tom Cruise. You're not doing that to me." So I left. But, I was there because Tom Cruise was there, and honestly, this was in an era where if Tom Cruise was making a film, you showed up to that film.
Oh, yeah. Literally, if he's in it, your butt is in the seat, literally. It's just like, I can't wait to go and watch it, but yeah, that one, I think I'd heard about it, and I was kinda like, nah, not really. Not really interested in seeing it. I mean,
Well, he's
Minority
not afraid
Report.
he's
Oh, go
not
ahead.
afraid of making art style films, these sort of, art house style films
Mhm.
that are up for interpretation by the viewer, that are different, that have different meanings to different people, that artistically, there are other things in the film that are incredibly important. And if that's what you're into, you may enjoy those films. So he also
Mhm.
does things like that.
Right. He does, which of course winds up, expanding his range too. Minority Report, I did not see. I'd kind of skipped over that one. I didn't really have an opinion about it. I think I was just like, nah, it's okay. That's okay. I'll just
I don't
skip this
remember
one.
what happened in that film. Of course, it's 20 years ago. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I'm just like, I think it was something to the effect of there were these psychics that they had like holed up somewhere, like the Oracle of Delphi or something like that, or like, like the witches in Greek mythology, and they could predict the future. So they were basically arresting people for future crimes.
Oh, wow.
And his character, Tom Cruise's character, actually winds up accused of a future crime. So it was like there was
Oh,
this group of police who would arrest you for a crime that you would commit in the future based on what this small group of people would see in the future, that small minority, which was Minority Report. It seemed like a pretty good, a pretty interesting premise, but I just never sat down and watched it.
right, right. I don't believe I watched it either, but it does seem very interesting and very futuristic. So he's also not afraid to do these sort of, I guess I wouldn't call it, yeah, maybe it could be science fiction style
Mhm.
uh films as well as fantasy. He's just adding so many more to the list, Lorena. I don't think there's ever been a period where he's been out of work.
No, unless he wants to be. And I don't even think he's really taken any extended time off. He was in Austin Powers, Gold Member. Did I like blink and miss it?
What role did I don't know what
He
role he played.
was Tom Cruise, famous Austin Pussy. Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up because I do not remember Tom Cruise in that one at all. I do remember The Last Samurai.
Yes.
This was actually a really, really good, really good film.
So
I
now
really
in this case, he's doing I don't know whether it was based on a real story, but the idea that he do a historical drama is spectacular.
Mhm.
By any account. And it was such a beautiful film.
It
Um,
was.
yeah,
It was. It was gorgeously, gorgeously shot. Ken Watanabe was in it. That's who I remember. Bill Connolly was in it. It was a really good film. A
absolutely.
great, great watch. This one, yet another one I was happy to go and rent. I was like, because I like historically based, film. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because it reminded me of a mini series from like way back in the day that I saw on syndication called Shogun. And I
Yes.
read the book.
Masa.
The book was so awesome. I'm like, I could pick this out of the library and read, to read. That was really cool. So this gave me Shogun.
Now they're remaking Shogun.
No, I did not.
Yeah,
Really?
they are. Yeah, yeah. I found
Mm.
out on Saturday or Friday, one of those 2 days.
Oh man. Okay, I got to keep my eye on that
Yes,
because that was an amazing, amazing miniseries.
it was.
Miniseries to watch. Absolutely.
I still can't believe that woman died from that bomb. I thought she was gonna be okay. And, like, when the bomb went off and she didn't get up, but Richard Chamberlain got up, that's when I knew something was wrong. I was like, "Oh my god, she
Like,
died."
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh man. Let's see. Collateral. I didn't see that.
Saw that one either.
I don't know what that one was. Let me
I don't
pop this
either.
one open. Collateral.
He looks good in that poster, Lorena.
This.
Damn.
Part of it is the suit. Most of it's him, but part of it is the suit. I think Jada Pinkett Smith. I think I had heard of this, but I hadn't seen it. hadn't seen it. Tom Cruise was the bad guy in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. Yeah. I think he like took a cab driver hostage. Yep. Yeah, he was driving a contract killer around. Basically, he was knocking people off, so he was basically his driver. That's funny.
Just let the meter run.
Yep. I'll be back. Keep it running. Keep running. War of the Worlds I didn't see.
You haven't seen this, Lorraine. You have to see this.
I have not seen.
Oh
I
my
have
God,
not
you
seen
will love this version of War of the Worlds. You will love it. It was so good, Lorena. This was such an excellent adaptation of the film. There it says 6.5. I think it's more like 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I thought that this was
Spielberg redid it. Yeah, because I think the reason why, and well, let's say it's a bad reason. I remember the radio play. So I was like, Spielberg, I'll go back and watch it eventually. It was one of those where, oh, I can watch it on Paramount Plus. Okay. It was one of those where I think at this point in time, it's like Spielberg would come out with so many movies. Like, I think, did he do Minority Report? Yeah, he did Minority Report. I'm just like, it seems like every time I turn around, Tom Cruise is in a Spielberg movie. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'll see it later. That was kind of like my attitude. But now that you tell me, okay, I'll have to put that on there.
Yeah, you'll like it.
Okay. Mission Impossible 3. I did see that. I saw Ghost Protocol. Lions for Lambs. I don't know what that one is.
I don't think I saw that one, but I did see Tropic Thunder.
This movie right here, Tropic Thunder. I hadn't laughed at a movie with, I mean, it just, we definitely did have to do a watch party of this freaking movie. This one I saw in the movie theater, and I'm just like, oh my God, actually did that. I mean, I can't play very much of this.
Yes.
But I'm trying to, let's see if I can get the right spot. That is Tom Cruise.
I love it.
As Les Grossman.
Oh my God, it's so good.
See, this is the good part.
And he just, I couldn't believe that this was him. And people in the theater were just like in stitches, just dry heaves.
This job gets fun.
You know what? Again, Tropic Thunder was another ensemble movie where just everybody made it freaking funny, but throw Tom Cruise in there like this, it's just, oh my God, it was just too. I'm not going to surprise it for those of you who have not seen Tropic Thunder, but trust me, one of the biggest takeaways from that movie is Tom Cruise as Les Grossman. And watch the end credits. That's all I'm gonna say. Watch the end credits.
Oh my gosh, nearly 20 years ago, Lorena, and we are still laughing at what Tom Cruise has done. I mean, he really is an incredible movie star. This guy is just so unbelievable. Still giving us performances like this, and we can still watch it. It's got rewatchability.
Totally.
Oh my gosh.
Totally. I mean, this one, oh my God, this movie. It's like he's not on the poster, but he's in the flipping movie because by this time he's such a huge, star that even if he drops in and does like a cameo or something like that, it's like, whoa, he's kind of like in there. But of course, he was in Jack Reacher, which I never saw.
I haven't watched it. But I did watch him in Valkyrie, where he played a German officer. Of course, he's another. This is actually a non-fictional historical film where he
Right.
plays a German officer who makes an attempt on Adolf Hitler
Oh,
during World War
Brian
II.
Singer directed it. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
this was and boy, he looked great in this film too. Of course, he is in another uniform.
Hmm.
And he's, his plot, or the plot of this character was to eliminate, I'm not going to say the word, I don't want to say too much.
The mustache guy. Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
and his attempt to do this, and they were determined to do it. And it seemed like a very difficult thing to do, but they were going to
Mhm.
make an attempt at it. They weren't leaving until they were going to make an attempt at this. And I'm not going to say what happened, but he plays the role very well. And it was good to hear, to learn a little bit more about what was going on at the time, historically, and probably a very important story that was told that many people are unaware of. So check it out if you haven't seen Valkyrie.
Mhm. Absolutely. All right. And of course, we're going to go to this one. Oh my gosh, there's so many. Yeah, cuz he's filming the next two Mission Impossible movies back to back.
Right.
So he's doing both those. But of course, the one that I'm looking forward to, and so many people looking forward to, where when we heard it wasn't coming out for Christmas like they said it was going to, it was just like, oh God, are you freaking real? Top Gun Maverick.
Yes. And
I oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Maverick is his call sign, right? Lorena.
Yes, Maverick is his call sign.
And
And
he,
another call sign that you'll see who's in this movie, of course, is Iceman.
yes. Val Kilmer's in this?
Yes, as a matter of fact, interesting that you should mention that, because when Jerry Bruckheimer was putting this movie like together, literally, by the time they finally got, the right pitch from the right director and all of that, and they got in front of Tom Cruise and they pitched it to Tom Cruise basically picked up the phone, contacted somebody at Paramount because he's got pull like that, and basically said, I want to make this movie. But Tom Cruise also requested that Val Kilmer be in the freaking movie.
Wow, yes. His main competition. Uh
Hmm.
this, and it makes so much sense to be able to pull back original actors into sequels like this over 30 years later. It really is an accomplishment on Tom's side, but it also just having the power that he does have in Hollywood, not just as an actor, but also as, someone who runs a company in Hollywood. He's able, I guess, to do things like this, Lorena.
Yeah, not many people can just call up Paramount and basically, I want to make this movie. And they're just like, okay, when, where, what do you need? Not many people can do that. But because he's been in this industry for so long, he has that much clout to do that. So I'm glad he did.
I'm glad he did too. I'm also glad that Val is still around. I know that he had a bout with cancer recently,
Oh, I
and
didn't know that.
he made a documentary on himself, I think, or someone made this documentary that was very good. But unfortunately, he was struggling with, I think it's throat cancer, and it's
Mm,
unfortunate, but he still did the documentary, and you learned a lot about Val Kilmer, and he deserved to be in the film. I mean, the chemistry they had in this film was also very good. So it was kind of nice to see them come back for this. And Lorena, this film that we've all been waiting for, you and I, let's say a lot of us have been waiting for over 30 years for this sequel to come around. Um, Tom Cruise, of course, was at Cannes to celebrate the premiere of the film. It was premiered at
yes.
Cannes this past week, and something extraordinary happened. I mean, while he was there, and you can see the premiere, a lot of excitement of Tom Cruise showing up, leaving, I guess, the Mission Impossible set just for a day or for a few hours so that he can make himself known. There he is in the tuxedo. Also there was Jennifer Connelly, who's a co-host of the film, along with the other cast and crew. You can see Jerry Bruckheimer there, I think, just in that side shot there with the sunglasses. But what's so amazing about it, Lorena, is that Tom Cruise was very smart, and he knew he wanted to promote this film, and he's not going to kind of like look back and say, well, we missed our dates. I don't think he even cares about that. He's promoting it now. He knew he had to be here for this premiere because he got a special premiere at Cannes. It's the opening film at Cannes Film Festival. So I think it's really important that he did that. But incidentally, he got a special award, Lorena, the Palme d'Or, an honorary Palme d'Or for this film. And the Palme d'Or is essentially the best film. Like, it's considered the greatest film, the best film of the season. Now, there may be another movie that's going to win the Palme d'Or, but they're giving it to him, saying, look, we're giving this to you. We think you're important, and look at what you're doing for film and cinema. Bring back a lot of the excitement, Lorena, a lot of the passion for making films, and bringing in so many people who want to see this happen. It's very, very rare to get an honorary Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that Tom Cruise was adamant about with Maverick is that it not go to streaming. And in the article earlier that I showed, where they were interviewing Jerry Bruckheimer for Heat Vision for the Hollywood Reporter, he was basically saying, you have a kitchen at home, but you like to go out to eat. So you can stream at home, but you also like going to the theaters. Like, I would have loved to have seen Top Gun in the theater. That would have been something, awesome to see. There's something about being immersed in a big, huge theater with a bunch of other people reacting to a lot of the same things. I mean, granted, y'all know I really did not like Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. However, one of the moments from seeing that in the theater was, spoiler alert, when you got to see John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic, and people just erupted. That's a moment that you can't really have at home. And it's like movie memories like that of being in the theater that you take with you. So I'm very glad that Tom Cruise was adamant this movie did not go to streaming. I think people would have been really pissed if it really had gone to streaming, because people want to go back to the theater to see this, especially to see this movie. And, Tom knows that it's palpable out there that people want to see this, in the theater. So you're right. He's bringing back a lot of excitement about releases. How long have we been like chomping at the bit for this movie, to come out in theaters? Nobody's, well, if they have, we haven't heard them, have been adamant about it. It should go on streaming. We're just kind of like, oh, we gotta wait how long? Oh, all right, fine. We'll wait with the adjusted date, because people just cannot wait to see this. So this is amazing that he got this award, because he definitely deserves it. All the buzz that I've heard about this movie has just been great. So he's deserved it. I'm glad he got it, and especially a prestigious film festival as Cannes. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is just such an accomplishment for him. And as I said before, he was very lucky, because what he did was he made sure that he secured his film, Top Gun Maverick, to premiere at Cannes. So it's actually, I believe, the first film that they showed this year. And of course, it's incredibly exciting. Any Tom Cruise film is exciting, but this film that we've all been waiting for and are so excited about, and we just, want to relive that moment we relived in Top Gun so many years ago. And he brings that back for us. And they were talking about how he's just this authentic movie star that's still just a solidified movie star now, who continues to do different projects. And I think that that's really important. I think that he might be an older actor who is showing the younger generations that he's still here and he's going to continue to work and make movies because this is something he loves to do. He's very good at
Mhm.
it. And we want to see more of Tom Cruise. It's something that I think everybody feels that way about. And something that I think might be very interesting about this Top Gun Maverick is that we are going to see a mature Maverick now. He's not a young, strapping lad this time. He's a mature man. And what have the years done to this amazing and talented pilot?
Mhm. Exactly. Exactly. It's like, what is he, what has he done, you know, since the past, past movie? What have the years done to him? Did he achieve what he wanted? Did he not? Why is it that he's refusing promotions you know, that would take him further in his career? Why does he still want to fly, so badly, to the point where he does not want to give it up? Why is that? So this is going to be interesting to see. And oh God, I can't wait to see this. I cannot wait to see this film. Let's see. One thing to possibly end on here. Oh, that's right. You had this here. Sorry, we didn't flip, we didn't flip over this. We were talking about Tom Cruise wanting this to definitely go to, you know, to the screen
Yeah.
instead of the streaming. So yeah, I should have looked ahead. I should have brought this up when I was going
Okay.
up and talking about
Who
that one.
who thought
But
about
this
that? You know, those were concerns that he, as being so involved in this film, had. And
Mhm.
here's this other article you have up here, Lorena, about what makes his star shine so brightly. And I really love this article, Lorena, because for someone who doesn't really know a lot about Tom Cruise, because there are people out there who don't know all the details about his
Mhm.
career, this article really shows a lot of highlights about Tom Cruise and his accomplishments.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love this. For some people who don't know, Jerry Bruckheimer produced the original Top Gun along with the late Don Simpson. So to kind of give folks a little bit of Hollywood history here, granted, Don Simpson did a lot of Bolivian marching powder, but this dude would produce hits. They were just like this dynamic producing, duo. When you saw the opening credits for a movie and, it's like the scene would go by and you'd like see these two strikes of lightning and it would say Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer production. You're probably like, what do you mean by two? Well, after Don Simpson unfortunately passed away, you still see that Jerry Bruckheimer Productions, but there's only one lightning bolt. So
Right.
that's the reason why. But Don Simpson was the kind of person where if his movies were like coming out on top and making money, he would fax the other studio heads to rub it in their face. That's the kind of guy that he was. But that's kind of like the kind of bravado that can produce a movie, you know,
And
like
Lorraine,
Top
they
Gun.
certainly put a lot into their films. That soundtrack, as we mentioned, was such a huge part of movies in the 80s. And the soundtrack along with the performances drove that film. You really were brought along with this story. There was a lot at stake. It felt like, there was a lot on the line. And in Top Gun, and of course it's safe to say that he's a pilot who has to get into
Mhm.
actions, with enemy fighter jets.
Mhm.
They really do ramp up the tension in it, and it does have a lot of relevance and brevity to it. Um, so I think that for a time where there were movies about fighter jets and things of that nature,
Mhm.
they did it justice, and I think they did it with dignity too,
Mhm.
which I think is incredibly important. Um, they also mentioned that there were at the premiere of Top Gun this time, Maverick, that there were fighter jets, and they talked about how different people on the set, may or may not have been in actual fighter jets that were operating. I don't know all the details, but knowing
Mhm.
Tom Cruise because of his affinity for stunts, that's not a surprise that he would want to fly up in the air and get more involved in this entire operation. I personally know I could not do that, but Tom Cruise certainly is capable of doing it, and that just adds to the realism, Lorena. When you see stunts or you see him doing something, it's really him.
Yeah, and it's just it's amazing because one of the coolest things about Top Gun was seeing the aircraft. And when I worked at Stark Industries, the type of plane that was flown, or they said that they were flying in Top Gun, even though it was actually a Russian MiG, it was supposed to be an American F-22, but they used MiGs actually in the don't I have no idea why they did that, but they did. But anyway, to actually get to see an F-22 in all of its glory in person and to be actually able to sit like in the cockpit and then have people explain to me how it flies and how the pilot flies in it, how the basically the software flies a plane, but the pilot has to integrate himself with that. And all I'm thinking is like, wow, all that stuff that they had to do in, in Top Gun, and the fact that Tom Cruise took that so seriously, because from what I do remember, either in one of the articles that you sent or the other one that I was looking at earlier from the Hollywood Reporter, the interview with Jerry Bruckheimer, where they actually had to put them through training for that. How, flying in these particular planes, getting used to those types of extreme G forces, having to learn survival skills. What happens if you got to eject and you're out in the middle of the ocean? How are you going to survive? There were some actors who tapped out, who said, I can't do that. But they're the ones that stayed because they had to go through the same thing that Tom Cruise had to go through with Top Gun. And I think what that does is it instills into you exactly what those characters are about. And that flying a piece of aircraft like that, while it looks very glamorous, it is a very dangerous and very involved job.
Yeah, it certainly is, and, I know personally it's something that I could never do, but I'm glad it brought a lot of attention to people about pilots and these amazing things that they were expected to do, um, and honestly, I think that in regards to Tom Cruise, I think the sky's the limit for him, because if he can come back and make a sequel 30 years later,
Mhm.
it kind of shows us that, any of his films that were successful or he feels it's the right time to do could come back, like Interview with a Vampire. We were kind of talking about that and how successful that film was, and he's the last thing you see at the end of the film. Wouldn't it be interesting to see him come back with, of course, Brad Pitt and, revive that series, Lorena?
I think that will be perfect because I have been banking on a part two. I could have cared less about Queen of the Damned. I I really didn't want to see that. I wanted to see part two of Interview with the Vampire because the way they left it, at the end, did he choose to take Lestat up on his offer? What happened to Louis later on? You know, they're obviously still walking the earth. We want to know, what happened to them. And there are the additional Anne Rice novels that she wrote, because I think Lestat wound up being like a rock star or something like that. And I was waiting for that book to get made into a movie.
I think they did make something, but it was not the same Lestat. It might be in a movie called
Mm,
Lestat, I'm not sure, but I thought they did something, and of course, it's not gonna be the same without Tom Cruise. So this is something else
no.
too that I think is very important, is that, Tom Cruise has established himself in so many of these roles. If they had brought this back with another actor, it just wouldn't have been the same for Top Gun Maverick.
No, and that's the thing. It's just sometimes you get, these actors like Tom Cruise, and it's like the actor and the role, they're just inseparable. And a lot of that is just a testament to their acting talent. It's awesome. So I cannot wait to see all the future stuff that Tom Cruise is coming up with. And
Absolutely. And it's been so fantastic to watch his films. A lot of them have fantastic rewatchability. Um,
mhm,
for anybody who wants to see a Tom Cruise film, there's so many areas to choose from, and things that you are like I said, he does these art house films that, it definitely is an acquired taste. It's not for
mhm,
everyone, but he has action films. He has, films that, as I said, talks about people with special needs at a time when nobody wanted to talk about special needs at all, or pretended like special needs didn't exist. Um,
mhm,
and I think and Vietnam as well. He does historical films. He really
mhm.
is a fantastic movie star, and he still looks really, really good.
Oh God, yeah. He still looks hot. He still looks hot. He can get it.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And seeing him in that tuxedo from the video you showed, Lorena, I was just like, wow, he just is just absolutely smashing.
I
And he's on
know.
top of the world. You see the look on his face, Lorena, as
Mhm,
everybody again, kind of greeted him, and it felt like a star-studded thing, didn't it? He kind of flies in there. He's off filming another film. He flies in just to premiere this. This is the type of excitement I think that people want. And he continues to give us that level of excitement in entertainment. Nothing, I didn't want to use the W word, but nothing like that. They're real stories with real
mhm,
characters. It's been so refreshing to have an actor who can maintain the look and the feel of what we want in entertainment and continue
mhm.
to do so.
Absolutely, absolutely. Cannot wait. Cannot wait to watch Maverick.
Mhm.
I would submit to you all, especially since we so do appreciate, our men and women in the military in this show. I would challenge you to watch Born on the 4th of July over Memorial Day weekend. I would really suggest
Yes.
that you do that.
That is a
Trust
perfect
me.
suggestion, Lorena, and I think that it couldn't have been more of an appropriate recommendation to do that. That is so appropriate, guys. Please follow Lorena's suggestion to do that on your holiday weekend coming
Mhm.
up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, as always, time flies on this show. We love it. We love it. We love it. Thank you guys so much for joining us with her and I. Please do follow her, also known as Positive Fandom, here on Twitch. Also, please follow myself on Twitch. And of course, you can find the both of us on YouTube as well. So, with that said, folks, thank you so much for watching. We so do appreciate it. And we will catch you next time. Bye.